This is the port museum that concentrates on the south coast here in Iceland. But it also gives a nice picture of the rest of the island, because the situation here in Iceland was almost everywhere the same. The thing is, there would always be this one difference here in the south, and this would be very poor transportations. So the roads here, they were not connected with any bridges until very late. The first bridge that was built in this region was only finished in 1921. It's really not that long ago. Also, there were no ports here in the south coast. And so the situation here in the south was especially bad. And that meant that the people that lived here in the south coast of Iceland, they were actually always a bit more isolated from other villages and farms from the rest of the island. And the thing is, the museum here was founded in 1949 in a kind of a turning point in our society here in Iceland. And this is the time when the older rural farming community was coming to an end. And there were new tools and equipment being brought here very quickly. And so what happened in a lot of the cases is that the farmers, they had to make space for the new things. So what they did with the old things that we can see here in the museum, they would simply just throw it in the garbage or in the next river, because they were just considered to be worthless, outdated. Nobody used these things anymore. And if it hadn't been for collectors like Þórður Tómasson, who had the incentive to start to collect these old things at a very young age, there would be very little left. But the thing is, the museum here is mainly founded on this one guy's incentive. He was born here in 1921 and was at a very young age when he started his collection. He was actually only 14 years old, so people actually thought that he had gone crazy. Well, I can't blame them. Who starts to collect old things at that age? But the thing is, he later became the curator here and is responsible for most of the collecting. And he actually he only resigned 2 years ago. But he still lives here next door. I just had a coffee with him this morning. And that makes him, 95 years old. But he's doing very well. He drives his car every day, and also for 3 weeks ago he published his book number 23. Wow. About this time about the dairy products and how they're used in the old farming society. And I also do believe that he's writing 2 more at the moment, so he really doesn't know how to stop, does he?
No, that's what keeps him alive.
Yeah, right, I think so. That and the snuff tobacco. And this is the guy I'm talking about. This is Þórður Tómasson. You can see a picture of him here. And the thing is, if it hadn't been for this guy here, the museum would be a lot smaller. I can guarantee you that. But the thing is, maybe just so I could put the artifacts here into context for you, I'd want to tell you about one thing that happened here in Iceland. Have you guys maybe already heard the story of the forests? What happened to the forest here in Iceland? Okay. So when the settlers first came here in around 870, almost 30% of the island was covered with birch and European rowan forests. So there used to be a forest here, if you believe it or not. And but the thing is, the natives, they were quite aggressive in chopping it down. They'd be building farms and heating their farms and so on. So, and due to that, and also due to weather changes, the temperatures would get a little bit colder here in Iceland. This forest was just mainly gone in around the year 1000. And after that happened, sources of raw material were always very hard to come by. And and the thing is, the people, they simply just more or less just quit heating their farms. That's quite unbelievable, but what they did instead is that they would build their farms a lot smaller. They would use the materials they had, and this would be turf and stone and driftwood, as we have here in the Open Air Museum. And the thing is, they would not be bigger than maybe 25 square meters, but even so, they would be up to 12 people in a small farm like that. It's because the body heat of the person sitting next to you was kind of the main source of heating. Yeah. And but the thing is, the turf, it's a very good insulator, and if you have so many people in that tiny space, you really don't need anything else. So these farms, they weren't really that cold, even though they're not heated. But the thing is, I'll talk more about the turf farms and what happened after they got so small. But the thing, later in the guide, but the thing is, this place we're in right now, this is actually called Skógar. And Skógar literally means forest. But the forest we have here on the outside was only planted in like 1950s. So definitely at the beginning there was a forest here, but it isn't anymore. But the thing is, this is the fishing section of the museum, and everything here has something to do with fisheries. And people in Iceland have always been a fishing nation. This is a very typical Icelandic fishing boat. It was built in 1855, especially for the south coast, because there were no ports here. And this is why it's so shallow, and there is almost no keel at the bottom here. It's simply so that the fishermen could push this boat out from the beaches every morning. And at the end of the day, they simply just try to pull it or in with ropes or pushing it back in. And that sounds like hard work, but I haven't done it myself though. But often there'll be a lot of men here at the same time, so up to 17. So 16 they'll be sitting here on the benches, rowing, fishing, the captain at the end there steering the boat.